Alright, what's going on YouTube? We are back with another Baldur's Gate 3 mod video. This time we're going to be taking a look at a class mod called the Final Fantasy Tactics Job System. For those who have played Final Fantasy Tactics, and some other Final Fantasy games allow you to select a job when you level up. This could be such as Black Mage, White Mage, Red Mage, Warrior, so on and so forth. And this mod tends to try to replicate that by allowing you to pick primary, secondary skills, so on and so forth that matches those classes. It sounds a little complicated, and I'll do my best to explain it as we go through the level up process. So bear with me here, and I'll try to answer any questions that are in the comments down below. I'll also leave a link to the mod page itself, which will answer a lot of those questions, as well as detail each one of the abilities. There are so many classes in this mod that it'd be impossible to go through every single one in one video, but if you're interested in one particular class, please let me know. So starting out at level 1 is going to be titled the Cadet, and essentially the Cadet is your level 1 basic character. They don't really specialize in anything, but they have the potential to grow into something. The actions that you'll get, which we'll explain here shortly, is going to be selecting your primary skill, a secondary skill, a reaction, and a support skill. And I'll go into this here in a second because it's going to be very prevalent as we go up through the level up process. You also get some actions, which is the support action to equip axes, and then a reaction to counter tackle. I'll explain this more a little bit. You also have the ability in cantrips to create potions. These potions use a new system called mana, which is essentially MP. It works sort of similar to short resting with spell slots and things like that. There is a mod that you can use to regenerate MP if you want. I'm not using that mod, so short rest and long rest are how I'm going to regenerate your mana. So you can brew a potion, basilisk oil, potion of vitality, alchemist fire, heart light bomb, and a potion of featherfall. You'll get more potions as you level up, and then some jobs or subclasses will allow you to craft even better potions. You also get a couple of class features, again, the basic skill, the unlock skill, unlock item skill, and then the mana, which is your resource. Now, in terms of abilities, it's really hard to gauge. I would try and say go a little bit balanced if you can. If you know what job you're going to be picking as you read through the mod list, that's kind of determine where your stats are going to lie. Having good strength is really good, depending on the weapon you're going to be using. But if you're going to be geared towards more mage and support, intelligence and wisdom are always good. I don't think charisma really matters too much. Constitution's always good, but you can wear a necklace of a necklace of like something health that gives you 23 constitution. So you don't really have to level it up if you want. Dexterity is also pretty good if you're going to be using finesse weapons, but we'll go into that a little bit later. So let's go ahead and take a look at these skills here. So whenever you start with level 1, you'll see you have a couple new options here: the primary skill, secondary skill, reaction, and the support. So going into primary action, you have two choices: the basic skill, which is a squire job command. These are the most fundamental basics of all battle techniques. When you select this, it allows you the ability to use medium armor, flails, morning stars, short swords, long swords, battle axes, and great axes. So you can really use this and pick a character that doesn't really specialize in these skills. And when you select it, you should see a new option here called basic skills. Now, these are your basic skills that allow you to do things such as throw stone. You have the rush command, which is a bonus action, charge forward. Let's see, really can't use it on withers, or I guess we could, but it's fine. As you can see, because withers doesn't really care. And then we have our last action here, which is slay or salve, which allows you to cure diseases, potions, or paralysis, or blindness. Now, obviously, we don't have any of that, but very useful. Doesn't cost any mana. It's a quick basic skill using an action point. You also have secondary actions. You can do the same thing. Basic skill secondary. These are the most fundamental battle techniques. So if you use this, you can still use these same techniques. However, I guess it's more important to kind of show this. So instead of choosing basic skills, let's go ahead and choose items, because it kind of dictates how your secondary skills work. So for your main skills here, we're going to have to unequip our armor here for a second. So bear with me here. The reason we have to do this is because we're no longer proficient with our armor and weapons, because we switched over the primary skill to the secondary skill and vice versa. But if we select the support skill or the item skill as our primary, we now have the ability to craft grenades, which is the alchemist fire, which costs 6 mana. As you can see here, we was able to craft alchemist fire, but it did cost 6 of our mana here. We also have other abilities here, such as craft utility potions with the Potion of Featherfall, and healing potions, which we mentioned earlier. Now, apologize. So since we selected the warrior skills as our secondary, we can still use the actions for it, but we're no longer proficient with medium armor, certain weapon types, and stuff like that. So it really takes what you're going to be using as your primary and secondary. As you can see, now we can actually equip our weapons and armor that we had on earlier. And we're actually proficient in them, but we'll lose the ability to have those used as our secondary skills. So for our secondary, we have to go back and use our craft potions, which you can still craft now because we're proficient because of our primary skills. I know it's confusing, and I'll try and explain it as we go along the process. But anyway, we can also choose a reaction skill, which starting at level 1, you only have the reaction of counter tackle. Which, whenever we get hit, we can use a reaction skill to use that ability. And then we have a support ability, which is the ability to equip Axis. This just makes you proficient with Axis. Probably one of the weaker support skills level 1, but it's something to use. So anyway, let's go ahead and level up here. At level 2, we get additional 8 mana. We have the ability to use support defend actions. This could be used as a support ability, as we mentioned earlier. We get 2 more cantrips, which is the Tailwind, which is basically Long Strider, and we have a heal. We also get an additional Potion of Brew, which is the Potion of Glorious Vaulting, costs 10 mana. So we'll go ahead and accept that, and we're going to X out before we go to level 3. And we'll discuss the subclasses here in a second. But since we leveled up at level 2, we have a new support ability, which is the ability to use a defense skill, which I think is better than having the base skill of being able to equip Axis, because this gives you the ability to use on your bonus action to increase your AC by 2. So if you see the bottom corner here, our AC is currently at 18. We can use this ability for 1 turn, and it busts it up to 20. So pretty good if you're ending your turn, you can't really do much damage. You can boost up your AC to defend a little bit better or to avoid certain actions. And so now we can pick our subclass. This is going to be the first of many subclasses that we have. We also get a health increase. We have the ability to brew potions of speed, which is really strong. It does cost 20 mana. We also have the ability to brew web grenades. We get 8 more mana. We unlock the Job Mastery Art of War, which is going to be part of our subclasses. And then we have the Art of War class actions, which gives us ability to, as you can see down here, so we set a primary action, gives us the ability to use medium armor, heavy armor, shields, and all one-handed weapons and versatile melee martial weapons. This includes scimitars, spikes, or pikes, spears, stuff like that. And we also have the ability to use the Art of War secondary, which only gives us the abilities, but not necessarily the unlocks to wear medium armor, heavy armor, so on and so forth. So for our subclass, we have quite a few subclasses starting out first, and then we'll see more additional subclasses as we go further. The first one is the Knight, which gives you the ability to use the Art of War actions as both primary and secondary. Next is the Archer, which gives us the ability to use aim secondary. As you can see here, it gives us the ability to use medium armor, shields, crossbows, heavy crossbows, and longbows. This also gives us the reaction skills of missile snaring. But we also use some of those same abilities as secondary actions. The White Mage, which gives us a bunch of healing white magic. Now, we can pick another subclass later, so don't feel you're locked into this. That's kind of one of the cool things about this class, is that you can pick these subclasses a little bit later. You get 12 mana max increase. You gain 12 mana by using the White Mage, whereas like the Archer, you get 8, and the Knight, you get 8. So you get a little bit more mana. You have the ability to use white magic as your main actions and sub-actions. You also have the reaction skill of Regenerator, which receives a blessing of HP regeneration upon taking damage. So that's a reaction skill. So if you take damage, you can pop that. And then you get Arcane Defense, which allows you to select the Elemental Shield, which gives you elemental damage reduction by 50%. And then we have Black Mage. Also gives us a 12 mana increase. And it gives us options to use Black Mage job abilities and magic within the class. Both primary, secondary, we get Arcane Strength, which allows us to increase magical damage by 33%. And then we can use counterattack for reactions such as fire, blizzard, or thunder when attacked with a spell. So you can basically counterspell someone in a sense with the spell. For this, we're going to start off with the Knight. And then we're going to go take a look at those actions here before we kind of go up in the level up process. So at level 3, when we select the subclass, as you see here, we do have more another primary action we use, which is the Art of War. Now, as you can see, it replaced our current primary action with the Art of War class actions, which gives us the ability to use multiple actions such as Rend Magic, Rend Helm, Armor, Shield, Weapon, Bind, speed, and power. As you can see, each one of these does a condition. So, for example, Red Magic, it can have the chance to silence a target for 2 turns. For Helm, I believe this confuses or dazes, so on and so forth. So each one of these actions does has the chance to do a condition attack, which is very strong. It does cost 6 mana, so you can't spam these abilities, but they are very, very strong abilities to use with primary actions. We can also choose these as secondary actions to have those same abilities. However, we lose the ability essentially from our secondary action here, which was items. So if we switch over to Rend, which I don't recommend having both your primary and secondary being the same, it kind of defeats the purpose of having a class. So for primary skill, if you're going to use weapon, I'll say go with the Art of War. And then secondary, you can switch it over to something such as items, which allow you to craft items and potions. Later on, we'll have a lot more actions and abilities to do so. Or if you want to have some of the support abilities, such as Chant, which is a heal, you get basically a free heal for an action. You can cause Tailwind, which is Long Strider. You still have the Shove, Rush command to throw stone, and the Salve. Now, I believe if you actually switch over from this, I think you lose the Long Strider ability, but we'll test that real quick. So no, so you can switch over outside of combat, get the Long Strider, then switch over to another secondary action, so very strong. We still only have the same reaction, but we do have another support, which is throw item. Anyway, let's go ahead and level up and show a little bit more. At level 4, you get more cantrips, which is basically the items to craft. You'll get a boost of mana by 8. Job mastery. Now, this is jobs within jobs, if that makes sense. So as a knight, we have the ability to start our mastery with monk, geomancer, or archer. Monk has the ability to use monk job commands, such as basically different types of punches, which from the monk subclass. We also have the ability to do the support brawler, which when you throw something, use your strength modifier, add it twice to damage and attack rolls. Reaction Hamando, I haven't actually used this one before. The user can take a reaction to make the unarmed strike against any melee attacker prior to taking damage. So before they damage you, you can do damage to them with the unarmed strike. I'm going to choose Geomancy because it gives you the ability to use some magic abilities. As you can see here from Geomancy, it is a job that draws from mystical powers. This unlocks the ability to use short swords, long swords, great swords, battle axes, and great axes. But we're going to be using the secondary action here because you can still use the primary magic actions, just not any of the unlocks that it comes with using as a primary skill. You also get the ability of support attack boost, which increases your physical attack power by 25%. Here we can choose a feat. Again, depending on how you're building your character, I'm going to start with strength because strength is probably going to be my primary way of doing damage. And what I'll do is, for the rest of this, I'll go through the rest of the level up process and then I'll explain the primary and secondary action skills. I think that's going to be a little bit better than me kind of switching on and off every single time. So level 5, we'll get another cantrip, which is Steel, the ability to inspire allies to add a 1d8 to the weapon damage for 3 turns. Pretty strong skill. We get more potions to craft. Potion of Sleep, Remedial Potion, Noxious Spore Grenade, Potion of Flying, and then a Fungal Bamboozler. We get increased mana, and then we get to pick a second job mastery. We've already selected the Geomancer, but we can just choose another one here. So if you wanted Monk from previously, you can get that, Archer, Thief, and Dragoon. I'm going to pick Dragoon here. Gives this the ability to use jump commands, also unlocks heavy armor, medium armor, shields, tritons, glaives, and halberds. And then we get the jump secondary commands. We also get a new reaction command, which prevents us from dying at least once per battle, which applying the death ward condition. At level 6, we get some more grenades or potions to brew, which is Potion of Invisibility and the Spore Grenade. We get 8 more mana, and we get to select another job mastery. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can select some of the White Mage and Black Mage job masteries if you wanted them earlier. You don't get some of the buffs that come with those classes if you pick them as your primary subclass, such as like the Knight, but we can still get some of the magic abilities, stuff like that. So, for instance, we can grab Black Mage if we really want to do some magic in battle. The primary and secondary actions are pretty much the same, more or less. So I would say if you're going to be getting some of these job masteries, sometimes it's better to get them as secondary actions because they don't give you primary unlocks like the more melee-focused ones, such as the Steel, which gives you access to medium armor, rapier, short swords, and war pikes, whereas having the more magic-based job masteries are really for much the same. They don't really do much of a difference in terms of like what you have access to. So we have access to Regenerator. We can use the Arcade Defense, which we saw earlier. So We can select that. And at level 7, we have a new option, or I'm sorry, a new cantrip called Scream. Increases all damage done by 2 and applies haste for 3 turns. Very, very strong cantrip. Potion of Angelic Reprieve, which allows you to fall asleep. And then after 2 turns, you'll regain all level 1 and level 2 spell slots. Cost 75 mana, though, so very high mana cost, as you can see, for a lot of these. So you can't just spam them frequently, even though they are cantrips. You get 8 more additional mana, and then we get access to another Job Mastery. As you can see here, as we increase Job Masteries, we get more access to Job Masteries to switch between. So for here, we can switch between Black Mage if we wanted to. We can get the Samurai class here. The Samurai job primary skills unlocks medium armor, heavy armor, scimitar, short swords, long swords, and great swords. And also gives us access to mystical powers contained within the katana. Now, you could get katana weapons if you wanted to. We can use those same commands as a secondary. We get a new support option, which is double hand. Wield a one-hand weapon with a wield a one-hand weapon, melee weapon with both hands, dealing additional 50% damage. Weapon damage does not apply while using versatile weapons or a shield. So this is basically if you're going to be using a katana, longsword, or a versatile weapon that allows you to, or sorry, not a versatile weapon, but using a weapon and holding it with 2 hands will allow you to use, do additional 50% more damage. And you have the reaction, which is the option to evade a melee attack. Very strong reaction. It doesn't guarantee all the time, but it's a very strong reaction skill. At level 8, we have a new cantrip for a grenade, which is the Flash Binder. Additional 8 mana, a new Job Mastery, and then a new feat. And so, as you see here, we unlock more Job Masteries, which is the Mystic Arts. Mystic Job Commands manipulates the Mystic Weave of the universe to inflict harm on enemies. So there's more like debuffs and abilities that you can use. We also have the Ordainer, which I believe this is more, support class oriented. You do have access to use guns, which there is a additional mod you can download if you want to use guns and firearms. I haven't really touched it this too much, but it's actually pretty interesting. I may test that in the future. We have the Time Mage, which allows you to use time magic to slow, haste, things like that. And then we have a Reaction Mana Shield. Convert 25% of mana pool into temporary Let me try that again. Convert 25% of the max mana pool into temporary hit points equal to 25% of the caster's max AP prior to being attacked. So you can use your mana points to put on a temporary shield if you're about to be attacked as a reaction. So I'm going to go ahead and select the time magic. We also do have the Summoner, which allows you to summon creatures. I believe this is elementals. I think it's also certain animals and things like that. We also have the ability to recover MP when critically wounded. Pretty strong if you find yourself being more of the glass cannon type. We're going to go with Time Mage, and then we have another ability, which I'm going to just go ahead and finish off my strength. Alright, so at level 9, we have a new ability called Ultima. It is a level 6 spell, does quite a bit of damage, holy damage, and I believe fire damage as well. I'm sorry, just pure holy damage or radiant damage in this, but it costs 60 mana, very high mana cost. We have another potion that we can brew, which is the Angelic Slumber. And it has the full benefits of a long rest, which costs 90. So if you don't want to take a long rest but want the benefits, you can throw this at your party. They all sleep for 2 turns and get the benefits of a long rest. Have 8 more mana, and then we get to select another unique job ability. Now, this is where it's sort of like a true upgrade to our subclass, where all the ones have been more job masteries, kind of like branching off. This is the kind of the next evolution of that. We have the option to pick a Holy Knight, which gives us Holy Knight job commands. I believe this is more of your smites and things like that. As you can see, as a primary action, unlocks medium armor, heavy armor, shields, rapier, scimitar, short swords, and long swords. We use those ability as a secondary action. We have the Dark Knight, which allows us to basically use attacks that will regenerate our health about, I want to say, 50% per attack. As you can see here, it also gives us access to medium armor, heavy armor, shields, short swords, long swords, great swords, flails, battle axes, and great axes. We can use just the actions as secondary commands without the benefits of unlocks. We also have the support boost ability, which increases our maximum HP by 20%, which is pretty strong, especially if you're building a high constitution character. And we have the support ability as well to increase our attack power by 50%, becoming vulnerable to all types of damage. Now, this is really like your glass cannon melee build here. You can do great damage, but you also take a lot of damage as well. And then we have the soldier ability, gives us soldier class abilities, it's pretty much like limit breakers. For this, I'm going to go with the Dark Knight. At level 10, we get more mana points. We unlock another job mastery. As I believe we unlocked all the job masteries that we could here. I think there may be one more at level 12. So we've already choose time magic. We can do summer if we wanted to. Ordained's more like speechcraft, which is sort of like your, I want to say again, like debuffs, kind of like the Bard. Mystic, I haven't really messed with Mystic art, so I may try that. If we want to go with more magic, like a spell sword, we can do Black Mage as well. I'm going to go ahead and select Mystic because it intrigues me. At level 11, we get more mana points. We can select on the job mastery here. We can go Black Mage at this point. And then finally at level 12, we unlock our last job mastery and our last feat. So here we can go ahead and more likely select, I want to say Summer's pretty good. We could do Monk as well. I haven't tried out Archer or Thief. We'll go ahead and do Monk. And then we will go ahead and increase our intelligence for some of our spell casting. Now, I believe you can take this up to levels 13 to 20 if you select the right mods to do so. I haven't really tested out that much beyond level 12 because I feel like at level 12, it's pretty strong. And I think if you increase from 13 to 20, I don't know if you get any more additional job abilities. You might. I'll do testing on that, and I may record a video going through 13 through 20. So before we actually get into combat, we're going to be using the Trials of Tav Reloaded to do a basic combat scenario. As you can see here, our primary skill actions have increased substantially. So now we have the ability to use quite a bit of different actions as primary and secondary skills. So if we want to start like the Dark Knight, you can see like our basic skills change, and now we have the Dark Knight skills, which is listed here. I'm going to butcher this. Sanguine Sword, which allows us to siphon HP from the target. Infernal Sword, which allows us to siphon MP from the target, which is really strong. So that way we have a way to refuel our MP mana pool. It is pretty high, but we can also use that to refuel it. Crushing Blow does pretty good damage here. It looks like it's a long-range spell. Abyssal Blade, sacrifice 20% of caster's max HP to deal damage to others equal to the weapon damage and lost HP. Very, very strong. Deals 11-16 necrotic damage plus HP sacrificed. And then Unholy Sacrifices sacrifices 33% of all HP to deal weapon damage and lost HP to all units in range. Again, very, very strong. It also has the addition ability of Slowed. So very, very strong abilities here. And then for secondary skills, we can do something such as, we can do like White Magic. So that way we have a way to use our MP to do damage. Then we can refresh our MP with our heals here, such as Cure, Cura, Curagra, Raise, Curaja, I'm butchering that, Arise, Health Regen, White Magic that invigorates the life of opponent's graduate sword HP as long as the protection is in effect, which is for 10 turns. Re-Raise, very strong, which basically the Death Ward ability. Protecta, reduces damage taken from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage by half. Elemental damage with the Shellja. And then Wall, which is basically the ability of using Protect and Shell. And then we have Holy, which is our really, really strong holy attack. Obviously, we're going to try and showcase some of these within battle. But as you can see, the premise of this mod and this class is to mix and match primary and secondary skills along with your action skills. So you could be like a real Dark Knight here. And now have the ability of like the Dragoon, as we saw earlier, as a reaction spell, which allows me to pretty much automatically place a Death Ward if I feel like I'm about to die. And then we have support abilities here. We can have the ability to defend, which is showcased earlier. If we want to throw items, we have like the Tavern Brawler, or you can do like the Brawler support here. We can do a simple attack boost, which gives us an additional 25% damage increase flat out. Or if we wanted to, we can have Regenerated, which receives a blessing upon MP, which is basically if we get attacked, we have the ability to regenerate HP, so on and so forth. So a lot of really cool, powerful abilities and ways to really customize your character and essentially pretty much be a jack of all trades. Now, essentially kind of like the Red Mage I showed earlier, I believe this kind of more fits that role as you're able to switch between abilities outside of combat. Now, you can't switch in combat, which I think that's a good way to balance out the class. You can only switch to these abilities whenever you're at camp or if you're walking around, but you can't do it in battle. So I could do something such as increase my defense for magical attacks by 50%, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and go into a combat scenario here with the Trials of Tav. There's many ways to play this character. So this is going to be just like sort of like almost a Death Knight-esque build that I'm playing with it. But you can go like a pure mage, you can go pure warrior, samurai, so on and so forth. I think this class is really strong, really interesting, and I hope it makes it to console at some point because I would definitely like to play the full playthrough with these class abilities or these mod abilities. So let me know what you guys think. Apologize that the video is longer than I wanted it to be, but it was really hard to kind of shorten this video without fully explaining what the class can do. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and I'll see you next time.
Time to press ahead.
Let's finish this.
Shouldn't have made me your
What should I do?
With haste.